We have to stop and think for ourselves. Like truly, again, I can't stress this enough. Everything that they say Charlie is, there's a group of people for each one, each term that absolutely adore him and miss him. Why? That's what this video is about. This is exactly what Charlie always pushed me to do. And this is what I feel like is missing right now in this discourse about who this man is, especially from the left, the party of love, inclusivity, positivity, the list goes on. If that is the case, why are things like this being displayed? Why are things like this being promoted right now? Why are things like this being said? You don't see that type of behavior on the right. You don't. Hell, even the center, you don't. You just don't.
Hello， 大家好，我是利恩。我们今天要看一个非常特别有意义的影片。这个影片呢，也是观众朋友的留言，那引起我的注意，因此想要好好的呈现给大家。我们都知道查理这一次被刺杀身亡，反映出的是背后左派，特别是觉醒文化过去对查理长期一种对立仇恨的态度。查理已经被贴过太多的标签，因为他在校园里头想要去影响传达的价值，往往呢，只要这些价值、这些立场跟左派是相反不同的时候，那么最容易遭受到的就是被标签化了。有很多人说查理是一个恐同的人士，也有人说查理是一个恐跨的人士，因为我们都做过太多查理谈 LGBTQ 的影片了。可是如我自己所认为的，谈这些问题不在于是反对同性恋或是反对跨性别他们自身存在的价值。好，我要强调，不是反对他们作为一个人他们自身存在的价值，只是在于他们所提倡的想要去改变给人们接受的，并不是遵照客观的事实，而使得人们想要接受他们所提倡的，所以这是一个多流的观点碰撞。对于同志的这个议题呢，其实过去查理在公开场合从来都没有嫌恶或者是任何的强烈批判，没有。
When this gay Republican questioned if he had a place in the conservative movement, Charlie Kirk's classy response was something no one expected.
I'm a gay conservative, and it's kind of hard for gay conservatives because there's not a lot of us. So, like, what do you have to say to other gay people who need to realize, like, they do have a choice?
First of all, I want to be clear. I don't think you should introduce yourself just based on your
No, I agree. I like
because that's not who you are.
I like to be thought of as a person, and
for sure, you are a complete human being, and I'm sure you treat people well. And so I want to get away with this idea that you're gay anything, right? First, you should say I'm a conservative. I also have, same attraction. That's fine. I just think that we have gone a long way in the negative direction in this country, where we act as if the most important part of your identity is what you do in the bedroom. It doesn't mean that much to me, but if you ask from a perspective as a Christian and conservative, I don't agree with that lifestyle, but I imagine you agree with a lot of what we talk about.
Absolutely.
Right? Strong borders, strong country, and for that, we welcome you into the conservative movement.
Can I get a hat?
Yes, you can. Absolutely.
我现在比较喜欢开始讲的跟查理是一致的，就是我们比较喜欢说的是你是一个同性吸引者。那同性吸引者呢，它是可蜕变的，它是可以同性吸引转成异性吸引的。那这个以后有机会我再提。那更重要的是，同性吸引者并不代表他自己不能够攻克己身，过一个合上帝心意的圣洁生活。这个跟我们异性恋仍然需要攻克己身，以免自身犯了所谓的奸淫、外遇等等的问题是一模一样的。所以就是因为有一个曾经受过查理柯克激励帮助的黑人同志，这一次在查理死后站出来为查理发声，他就是 Amir Odom。Amir Odom 呢，他不但是一个黑人，他还是一个同性吸引者，也就是我们讲同志啦。那更重要就是呢，他曾经是一个极左派的人士，你可以想见，很正常嘛，大部分 LGBTQ 都是极左，但是呢，他却因为查理而慢慢转为中间偏右的保守主义。他今天就是要站出来发声，他要揭露出极左文化是如何的把不正确的假标签贴在查理的身上，而暴露出这些都只不过是刻意制造人为谋杀查理的手段。所以今天很特别，在我们做这个追忆查理的纪念影片的时候，把 Amir Odom 可以说是一个网络上罕见的黑人同志保守派网红介绍给大家。从他长达50多分钟的影片，透过他的声音，让左派的人重新有一个正确看待查理的眼光，不要再被情绪跟仇恨迷失了双眼，而看不到一个好人的真相。我们就一起来看吧 ，Let's go。
Again, you're listening to a black gay man who used to be so far on the left, crying in the streets, And now I'm more center right, admittedly, because of my own research that I've done. You know, people think I grew up so privileged. I've been homeless before. I've been sent to conversion therapy. Like, there's so much to me and my story. So like let's get any pre-notions about who I am and what I do, like, you know, get those out. Okay, this video is for the person that I once was, who was lost in this realm, in this mainstream media, in this news cycle, not knowing what to believe, where to go. That's when I make content like this. Again, this party of love, inclusivity, positivity, like it's everything but. There's this massive wave, and we'll get into that in another video, but there's this massive wave of people leaving the left. You don't see it that much from the right, and there's reason for that. You know, you think about George Floyd in 2020. George Floyd passed, and in response to George Floyd dying was a summer of riots, $2 billion in damage, and over like 30 people killed. We lose Charlie Kirk, and the only thing that's happening is vigils and people mourning, and then everybody on the left very happy and ecstatic that Charlie has passed. Not to say there weren't people making jokes about Floyd. That I'm not saying that wasn't the case, but at this caliber, insanity. You know, we were hearing things like, where was this energy when the Democrat died in June? Okay, you're right. Where was this energy? Ever since Charlie Kirk died, you have had thousands of videos of people celebrating his death. You have teachers, like college teachers, professors, deans losing their jobs because they are promoting and applauding assassins. Yet the right didn't have that energy when a Democrat died. One mainstream Republican, I believe, did or said some harsh things. But again, it wasn't to this caliber. It wasn't at this level of people making fun of someone's death, applauding someone's death, and just the thing that we're seeing right now doesn't reflect you or just the average person out there. Do not become the hate you claim to fight. Don't do it. Don't. As we go through this video, I want you to keep in mind some key things and just some things to have in the back of your head regarding who actively calls for and promotes political violence.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
They go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
Biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He on the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
We're only one third through this video, and I'm done playing it because it just keeps going on. All these news outlets, left wing, CNN, MSNBC, all these news pundits literally calling for violence. You know, words have meaning. You're calling someone, even myself, every day, get called racist, homophobic, transphobic, bigot, Nazi. I've been called it all. Like, you destroy the meanings of these words and you just throw them out nonstop. You really do. And when politicians do things like this, it boils my blood. Not even just politicians, but mainstream pundits and political commentators. I never, like there are some fringe people out there, but on this level, this mainstream, on the right, calling for violence in this manner, no. You don't see it. You just don't. And the lies. There are so many out there that we'll go through, but we're going to focus on Charlie Kirk for this video. But here's an inkling. Here's just one example of a small lie that is like, it's one card in a house of cards of lies that they have built, that they present as the mainstream media. It's hard to look at the news for a lot of people and think, well, they're all lying to me, but it's the little lies that just add up and add up and add up, that just, like, when you step away from that and you look at it from a clear lens, you're like, oh shit, like, what is really going on? The quote that I'm going to pull up is from advocate.com, and the title is "Reactions to Far-Right Activist Charlie Kirk's Death Pour in Across the Political World." And they have a section here from GLAAD, GLAAD. It's a LGBTQ rights nonprofit organization. Where it gets crazy to me is right here. GLAAD stressed the extent to which Kirk and Turning Point USA promoted anti-LGBTQ plus narratives. The group highlighted Turning Point College's campus campaigns featuring speakers such as Riley Gaines, Chloe Cole, and Pastor Jensen Yu, who regularly spoke against transgender people. You guys, Chloe Cole's trans. Chloe Cole was a trans minor that got a double mastectomy as a minor and actively speaks out against transitioning minors so that they did not have to go through all the medical defects and mental turmoil that Chloe Cole is now going through because she was sent down the right to transition as a minor.
I was medicalized starting with puberty blockers and then testosterone at the age of 13. I went on to have a double mastectomy at 15.
You have GLAAD, this gay organization, calling Chloe Cole anti-trans people. They're literally... That's just one example, you guys. That's just one example. Again, I show all this and I'm saying all this because this is what Charlie inspired me to do. It's what he told me to do. And I'm very honored and very thankful for the interactions that I've had with him in the past. Truth matters. Context matters, and I hope that you walk away from this video with at least a more open mind and understanding on why so many people genuinely love the things he had to say and how he operated and moved through this realm. Regardless, in this video, I'm going to be recapping all the things that are currently being said and discussed about Charlie Kirk, starting off with gun rights.
You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
And this is important because it's a clip that's kind of like a gotcha. Well, Charlie called for this. He asked for this. No, he did not. There's a strong difference between advocating for gun rights because you can protect yourself, but your personal safety, and also from a tyrannical government, versus the right for mentally ill people to commit political assassinations. There's a major difference, and obviously there's some context that goes into that. He's not advocating for political assassins to take place. He's not advocating for crazy people to just go out there and be shooting people willy-nilly. No. He's acknowledging the fact that some shootings will happen, but we also can acknowledge that this assassination of Charlie Kirk is bigger than just a random shooting. That's not what this is. This is a planned and targeted attack. That's what that was. It was an attempt to silence this extremely growing faction of people that are going against mainstream media, speaking up for the truth and being loud about it. A movement that Charlie has been behind and is highly, highly responsible for. And all this did, honestly, was push forward his beliefs even more. Yes, unfortunately, bad people get a hold of guns and they do something horrible, but I'm not looking at that clip of Charlie Kirk and think, well, he clearly asked for it because, he's fine with citizens having guns. No, that's just not how that works. Empathy. Now, there's also a clip that's going around of Charlie Kirk talking about his opinions on the word empathy, and let's just hear what he has to say.
The new communication strategy is not to do what Bill Clinton used to do, where he would say, I feel your pain. Instead, it is to say, you're actually not in pain. So let's just very short clip. Bill Clinton in the 1990s, it was all about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time.
Important. At the end, he says, sympathy is what I prefer more than the word empathy, because he feels like empathy is a word that's being taken advantage of. And it is. It is an overblown word. It is a word that has been, if we're going to explain that quote and what he was referring to and talking about, this idea that's been growing that we have to be empathetic of everybody. And there comes a point where our empathy clouds our judgment. There comes a point where you're so empathetic. Instead of just having sympathy for somebody, you're so like, I feel your pain and I don't want you to have pain. Here, just take anything. Where that ruins society. Something that I often think about is this growing hatred, like infighting within the LGBTQ community, and I'm not kidding you guys. There's a growing faction of trans men who hate gay men because trans men are saying trans men are men. The only reason I'm gay, I'm sorry, we're all due respect to females out there. The only reason I'm gay is because I don't like women, like biological women. I don't like biological women. Trans men are biological women. Obviously, that's not going to work out. So you have some gay people like, you need to be empathetic towards these trans people and recognize them as a man that they are. We're different. And then people are like, well, that hurts their feelings. You're being transphobic. You're being a bigot. And what, like, it's being overused. It's being overused. Oh, well, we have to be empathetic towards Leah Thomas changing in the restroom and identifying as a female. Leah Thomas is walking into this women's locker room, slanging the elephant trunk all around, making all the women, biological women, feel uncomfortable. But people are using the term, oh, you have to be empathetic towards Leah. Leah identifies as a female. She's a female. That word is being used in a negative manner. That's what all that was talking about. He appreciates and values the word sympathy. So people are taking this quote out of context and say, well, I don't have empathy for Charlie because Charlie doesn't like empathy. Look deeper. Stop listening to friend groups. Stop listening to tweets. Stop listening to TikToks. Like literally, just think deeper about these things, you guys. Think deeper. Think critical. And the truth will be revealed. Gay people.
I'm a gay conservative, and I just want to ask you, what do you have to say for people like me who kind of feel like, I guess, it's kind of hard for gay conservatives because there's not a lot of us. So, like, what do you have to say to other gay people who need to realize, like, they do have a choice?
Yeah, first of all, welcome to the conservative movement. I don't think you should introduce yourself just based on your sexual attractions.
No, I agree.
Because that's not who you are.
I like to be thought of as a person, and
for sure, you are a complete human being, and I'm sure you treat people well, and you're studying something. So I want to get away with this idea that you're gay anything. I just think that we have gone a long way in the negative direction in this country, where we act as if the most important part of your identity is what you do in the bedroom. It doesn't mean that much to me, but if you ask from a perspective as a Christian, I don't agree with that lifestyle, but politics is about addition and multiplication. I imagine you agree with a lot of what we talk about.
Absolutely.
Right? Strong borders, strong country, and for that, we welcome you into the conservative movement.
Thank you.
That's who they call homophobic. Oh, well, he said he doesn't agree with that lifestyle and he doesn't like gay marriage. That's fine. You don't have to think 100% with me on board, and just because you don't like what gay people do doesn't mean I'm going to write you off as a bigot, homophobic person and then, like, boom, just not going to talk to you for the rest of my life. No. Do you have any idea how gay Turning Point is? With all due respect. You have any idea how many gay people is employed there? Any idea how many gay influencers have been on Turning Point's platform? Like, I can't comprehend this idea that he's this homophobic bigot just because he is very fond of his religion and he doesn't think two guys should be able to get married. There's a lot of people that think that. I personally think the government should just be out of marriage completely. But again, I'm not going to write somebody off just because they have one opinion. One opinion that may change. One opinion that we probably can reach a middle ground, like the government getting out of marriage. But very kind, very respectful, very opening to lots and lots of gay people out there. That was the Charlie I knew. Everybody knew. Like, he was very nice and cool with lots of different gay people out there. It was not that big of a deal. Trans people.
I just want to say I'm a transgender male. What age should kids be able to get things like hormone therapy? Because I don't know what's true, what's not.
Tell me, are you comfortable telling me your story?
I've known that since like 3rd grade, and I'm currently 19, almost 20. I've known basically since then. I didn't start going by like a different name until 7th and 8th grade. I just don't know, like, with the whole medical stuff, like what's true, what's not.
I'm gonna let this person finish, but Charlie gets called a transphobic bigot. The crowds get called transphobic bigots. There's a trans person that went through that crowd, is asking a question. No one's heckling them. No one's harassing them. No one's beating them. Charlie's sitting there being super respectful, hearing them out. That's all he ever did, was hear people out. Like, he wasn't this radical person that was very mean and rude on campuses. No, he could get stern with people. He was matching energy, that's for sure. He matched energy. But this is who we're talking about as someone super transphobic.
It's helpful because I've heard so many different opinions.
First of all, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to have an opinion that very few people will ever tell you. which is I want you to be very cautious putting drugs into your system in the pursuit of changing your body. I instead encourage you to work on what's going on in your brain first. I think what you need first and foremost is just a diagnosis. Just someone that is going to listen to what you've gone through, listen to what else is going on. My prayer for you, and again, very few people will say this, I actually want to see you be comfortable in how you were born.
Yeah.
I know that you might not feel that way, but I think that is something that you can achieve. I think that with the right team and the right people, you don't have to wage war on your body. You can learn to love your body.
That's the people. That's who someone that people are calling transphobic bigot. Someone like that in an interaction like that. Respectful, calm, telling a person how they feel, wishing them the best, going about their day. There's another one.
You're part of the problem, I think, with the hatred on trans people. It's really not that deep. Like, if someone wants to dress up however they want, that's totally fine.
Okay, so
and I think that's where the hatred comes from.
I'm not preventing you from dressing up like this. However, let me ask you a question. I will flush this out. So let's pretend you say you are a woman.
Let's pretend.
I know you are a man, but I refuse to call you a woman.
Okay.
Who's the hateful one?
I would say you are. I mean, I wouldn't.
So you're
going to
force me and shame me.
No,
hold on a second. I'm the hateful one.
It's really just like common courtesy.
It is never common courtesy to lie. Okay. You do not become a thing just because you say it, you are the thing. And guess what? Nobody in the history of the species that was born XX or born XY and transitioned is able to change their chromosomes. Every one of your cells is coded either XX or XY. And it is an insult to women everywhere in this audience and across the country that's saying that you could just wear makeup and dress like a woman, undergo surgery, that you magically become a woman. And it is the abolition of women and is the abolition of reality.
That it can be hard to hear for some people. I will acknowledge that. But that's not transphobic. That's just the truth. There's a reason trans people exist. You have male and you have female. If you're transitioning from male to female, you're attempting to mimic the other thing, right? You're transitioning from male to female. Clearly, what that means is you were never that thing, and you're never going to be that thing. I have trans friends. I love my trans friends. They acknowledge that they're what they were born as. They acknowledge their gender dysphoria. They acknowledge the mental health things that they go through. And that's all fine and dandy. And I call them what they want to be called, but you can't force that on somebody. The only reason all this attention has been on trans people the last few years is because of their involvement in transitioning minors and being involved in women's spaces. That's it. The two most protected groups of people in the world, really, for the most part, it's kind of like off limits, women and children. Trans people in the United States the last few years have gone after women and children. There's other videos on my channel that we've talked about this in great lengths, but this is a thing that actually has happened. This is why people have become so vocal. There's a reason we see gay relations in the United States completely getting positive and getting better, and it starts plummeting when all this stuff started happening, when trans women in sports and transing children. If we're gonna look at it from a different perspective, kids, they can't drink, they can't vote, they can't smoke. They're kids. They're not grown enough. So this thought and idea that you can give a 14-year-old a double mastectomy, and before you say, oh, it doesn't happen, Chloe Cole, it does happen. Before you say it doesn't happen or that's wrong, these are things actively going on. I have all the books. When I'm talking about book bans, I have all the books in my closet. I've read them all, the LGBTQ books that have been banned. It's literally corn giving instructions on how to please yourself. For 6th graders? Again, I wasn't going to be sitting here being told how to think. I bought the books. You can buy them. You can look in them. And you can decide for yourself if you really think that's appropriate for 5th and 6th graders. It's not. But on the topic of trans, Charlie Kirk really stood up for the women and children. And he did promote the detransitioners because their voice matters too. It does. Especially when you're dealing with minors. Not adults, minors. When you have this growing faction of trans people saying, hey, I was a trans minor and I made the wrong decision, at least wait till you're an adult. All of a sudden, that's being considered transphobic and bigoted. I thought we were supposed to listen to them. Notice whenever you're being invited to hear another side, it's always a term for them. Oh, they're transphobic, don't listen to them. They're TERFs, they're anti-trans people, they're self-hating gays, self-hating blacks. What if they're just people with opinions? What about that? Racism.
You are here in the wealthiest country ever, at an amazing university, with all the opportunity imaginable in front of you. And all you want to do is look backwards at everything that prevented you, when you are a glaring example that there is no systemic racism and you can actually achieve your wildest dreams.
Whoa, I never said that. Hey, I'm not the only black person who exists out there. There's so many people who this culture is affecting to this day.
Do you know black Americans are the richest black people on earth?
What statistic
Africa.
is that? Okay, I need you to pull that up like right now.
You can. Black Americans per capita on average.
Can you pull that up?
I mean, I'm hosting an event right now. I don't know what to tell you, but anyone can fact check me on this. So you cannot find a black majority country or any country where black people have significant representation where they are as wealthy, because even the poorest people in America are in the top 5%, the top 2% of wealth around the world. And so my whole belief is stop acting like you're a victim and start making better choices.
That's not racism. I am my ancestors' dream. I'm in the deep South, Tennessee, I don't know, 40, 60 feet, probably above tons of my ancestors that were slaves hundreds of years ago, living their dream right now. I am my grandfather's dream, who could not speak openly like this, who actually dealt with the Jim Crow laws, who actually dealt with the real racism. I'm afforded every opportunity any white person is in this country right now. Are there economical differences? For sure. Are there some systemic things that we can get into? For sure. But I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't have it better than every other generation of black people that have come before me in this nation. I have it better. We all have it better. We genuinely do. I don't understand how people can sit here and call Charlie Kirk a racist when even back in 2018, 1920, hosted events like the Young Black Leadership Summit, where he would take 200 to 300 young black people all across the United States, invite them to DC, invite them to meet the president, invite them to the White House, invite them on this journey in this conference to learn more about the black history in this nation from other black people, to hear about stories that aren't taught in schools, to see a different side of our past as victors and not victims. You know, being a part of founding organizations like Blexit, where they are active in a ton of different states, in a ton of low-income black neighborhoods, giving young black kids mentors, school supplies, rides, field trips, events, block parties, that man. But people just want to say, oh, he was racist because he said this one thing. That's not how this works. You're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to say things. And also, you as a person watching this video, you're allowed to fact check everything for yourself. You're allowed to think deeper and think critical about the things that are being said. That's okay for you to do. And the things Charlie Kirk often talked about blew my mind, especially on the topic of race. Because as someone, again, who was in the streets marching with BLM, crying my eyes out because of the pain that I felt being a black man in America and a gay man, double marginalized, double victimized, and going to these events and meeting these people and talking to these people and realizing, wow, actually, I don't have it that bad. You could have told me 10,000 black people were being shot and killed by the police, unarmed. And most years, more people are being struck by lightning than black unarmed men are being shot by the cops. That man, Charlie Kirk, was not a racist man. Affirmative action.
If you see a black person in a position, or minority or whatever, the assumption is that that person is not qualified, when literally, and you have to be qualified in order to even to get in that position.
Well, so let's take college admissions. So this is a great example. At Harvard, we learned, because of new revealed documents, that black students were having test scores that were 30 to 35% lower than their white counterparts.
Okay.
And so, therefore, if you saw a black kid at Harvard, it's a fact that they were not having the same test standards as their white counterparts.
Still doesn't matter. The kid has to he's got to get through the classes, do the tests, do all the research.
Well, they actually drop out at a greater rate, too. But the point being is, just the idea that they were there number one, took a spot from an otherwise qualified individual that might be white. And they were not there on the same merits. So what we want is the same rules for everybody.
You're making the assumption that they're not qualified in order to get in. In order to even get there,
it's not
be
the assumption.
considered.
It's the data. So for example, it's literally at Harvard, you had kids with perfect SAT scores, perfect ACT scores that were white.
So that makes a degree from Harvard worthless then.
Well, you're exactly right. Yeah, actually, Harvard's degree is becoming more worthless because it's more race-based than merit-based. You're exactly right.
Affirmative action in a nutshell. Oh, well, Charlie Kirk was against affirmative action. That means he's racist. Oh, there's tons of black people against affirmative action as well. I don't need you to lower my test scores because that's even more racist. I don't need you to lower my test scores to give me a chance to get into college. Don't you want to feel like you earned your spot? Don't you want to feel like you worked hard for something? Why would you want to get a handout? Why would you want to just be given, hey, you black, we're going to enter you into Harvard because you got a D. Even though these white people are getting A's, I know you're not capable of getting an A and we need more blacks at our college. So we're just going to go ahead and accept you in even though you have D's. Do you not find that disrespectful? If you're a black person watching this and you're studying super hard and you get into Harvard, don't you want to feel like you got into Harvard because of all the work you've been putting in and not just the color of your skin? That's why a lot of people are against affirmative action. They don't want these handouts. They don't like that this is the thing. You're making the assumption, no, it's actually real stuff that has been going on. Real stuff, you guys. That is okay to call out. It is. So before people go shout from the rooftops, oh my gosh, this is horrible, this is racist. It's not. It's actually racist in reverse. I think some of these affirmative action things being put in place is actually racist. Critical race theory.
Let me tell, okay, y'all can laugh, but until you have walked as a black person on this campus, y'all truly don't understand.
CJ, come here. Really quick. I have a question. Come here. Go right there. So CJ, just really quick. You're a black person. Are you hunted at the university?
You know, I don't feel hunted at this university, but I guess the difference between me and some people here is that I don't choose to be a victim, Charlie, which I think is the biggest problem we have here today are people who wake up every single day looking for a reason to be oppressed, looking for a reason to cry and make an excuse about why they're not in a position to go win. I don't see the color of my skin as a disability. I see it as simply an accessory that I couldn't control. I've been black all my life. I've been black today, and I'm thriving here. I think that's a roll tide right there, right? I don't know.
And so CJ, let me ask you, CRT, racist?
It's not just racist, it's the exact iteration of white supremacy, just in reverse. I think it's important that we start teaching young people not to hate other people because of the color of their skin. We can teach black people to be proud of who they are without telling white people they should be ashamed of who they are. You know?
Amen.
Yeah.
So, closing thought, CJ. Is this trying to divide the country?
It's not only trying to divide the country, it's trying to break apart the foundation upon which it was built. You know, people forget the words of MLK, Rosa Parks, all those people who fought so hard for us to be a united country, where we didn't see the color of one's skin, but their character. This is about taking us away from the vision and the dream of Martin Luther King and just taking us to the dream of Kamala Harris, and I don't want to live that dream.
Amen. CJ, you're a great American. Give it up for CJ, everybody. So good.
That is my friend CJ Pearson. Shout out to CJ. Incredible video. That sums up really well how Charlie Kirk and a lot of other people felt about critical race theory. And it's fun. It's interesting, you know, that black girl that started off the video. You know, if you were black on this campus, you would see how we really feel. We have to stop speaking on behalf of everybody. We do. Because that quick, there's another black person, another student at that university in that audience that said, I'm having a different experience than you. I love it here. I'm thriving here. Mindset matters a lot, you guys. And on the topic of critical race theory, we're allowed to teach black history. It's American history. We're allowed to teach those things. I never understood this concept of critical race. You're focusing on race and Black History Month. No, we don't need it. Just incorporate a black American and black history into our nation's history and teach it all year round. I don't need a separate month to celebrate my race. I actually think it's racist to reduce my lineage and my family's American history to 1 month. It's just American history, and we can talk about it. We can teach about it without teaching black people to be victims, or that they're owed something from white people, and have white people feel bad for being white because of what happened in the past. It's the past. I don't have to feel bad about it because things have changed. Again, in my ancestors' dream, I'm afforded every right they wish they had. They can't even fathom the life I'm living right now. They can't. So on the topic of critical race theory, and using that to call Charlie racist, kind reminder, there are tons of black people who are against critical race theory too. So you're going to sit here in front of my face and all these other black people's face and call them all racist and they're race traitors and they hate themselves? Or you're going to have critical mind. You're going to think hard about this and really think, damn, what are some other perspectives on critical race theory that must not be hearing? What do other black people have to say about critical race theory? What was Charlie Kirk really saying about critical race theory? What was so hateful that people think, but then also so many other black people loved? Look into it. Illegal immigration.
I don't like your t-shirt. I'm an immigrant. I don't understand why you would want to deport some of my friends and family who have been working hard in this country.
What's your name? Sorry.
I'm Claudio, sir.
Yeah, Claudio. And this is just a thought exercise, but it's very revealing. You are king. And you find out that there are 30 million uninvited people in your country. What do you do with them?
I try to find the most humane way of sending them back to our country. But first of all, I want to say...
That's what we're doing.
Wait.
That's what we're doing. So what country did you emigrate from?
Are you going to like discriminate against me?
No, I'm going to do the opposite, actually.
I'm Mexican.
But you came here legally, correct?
I did.
You followed the rules. The people that you know didn't follow the rules.
True.
So I divide America not into Hispanic and white, into rule follower and rule breaker.
Yeah.
And so when someone breaks our rules, there must be justice done. And the most humane way is you go back to your country of origin.
Some of my boys, like, they're being like persecuted, like back home, them and their families, like they're like in like drug related, like wars and violence. And the only way out is if they escape and they break the American law. But that's the only way they're going to survive.
If that is correct, we have a special asylum status that they could seek legally at a port of entry, that they could go through the whole process.
Yeah, but if they're being persecuted, wouldn't it be justified to cut the line?
No. If we all of a sudden say that if you have a lot of gang violence and issues, I mean, like, we have a lot of gang violence and issues. Like, what are we talking about here?
True.
You have to draw the line. If your plane is going down, what do they tell you to do first? You put your mask on first. It's the same way as a country. We need to put our own oxygen mask on first, and then we can worry about helping other people.
That's it. It's that simple. It's nothing race related. It's literally rule breakers and rule followers. We're talking about a man who threw Latino retreats, you guys. We're talking about someone that promoted so many different races and ethnicities, including Hispanics. Again, like the guy brought up, he said, okay, well, isn't it justified for them to cut the line because of how much heartbreak and all the things they're going through in Mexico? No. Because if that was the case, we take in the whole world. There's so much corruption in this world, you guys, it's not even funny. And if we were to take that all in and accept everybody who's breaking the law, what do we become? The reason people want to come here in the first place is because of how hard, for the most part, America stands on business. For the most part, we follow the rules and we follow the laws. These countries that people are fleeing from, cartels, drugs, corrupt politicians, it's all lawless. But again, for the most part, America has some structure. And we have enough structure to where people want to come here. They're breaking in. That's how good and how many opportunities are afforded here. The same group of people saying, I hate America, down with America, this is horrible, it sucks here, are the same people defending the people breaking in to get here. If it's really that bad, why are you telling them not to come? This is a great country to be in right now. And we also can't sit here and hip and holler and cry, oh my gosh, our infrastructure sucks. Healthcare sucks. Food sucks. Drug crisis sucks. This list goes on of everything wrong with America and not address it and just keep funneling in all these different people and give them resources. Why are we there's so much happening in our country. Why are we taking people who have broken the law, broken into this country, already broken the law, dude, they broke in the country, giving them monthly stipends, health insurance, places to live, when we all can go downtown in our own city and our own citizens are dealing with crap right now? At some point, when are we going to put America first and take care of ourselves? That's all that is. We're talking about legal immigration is fine. But illegal immigration? No, we can't have that. Oh, well, the ICE raids are inhumane. These people, they're ripping people from their families. If I'm driving drunk with kids in the back seat, I'm being taken away from my kids. So I broke the law. As a parent, Breaking the law with my children is incredibly irresponsible no matter how much violence I'm fleeing. Come in the right way. That's all anyone is trying to say. And the ample and thousands of other Hispanic people who back Charlie Kirk on those statements. The man's anti-immigration and so racist. No, he is not. Abortion.
Everybody, do me a favor. Please be respectful, okay?
Before we even get in, everybody be respectful. Because we see what this person looks like, and you would think, oh, they're going to get, beat by MAGA people and so judged and harassed. And no, it actually turns out to be a very productive and nice, calming debate. Not even debate, just conversation. But this is who they got rid of. The man that starts off a college debate. Everyone be respectful.
Hello. So I have a few leading questions before my main one. Because I have to be honest, I don't really know that much about you. So would you say that you're very...
I love this interaction so much because I applaud this woman that instead of going to her friend groups, she went to Charlie. She saw this event, stood in line at that event, and waited to ask a question because she wanted to go right to the source. Amazing.
Very religious.
I am religious. However, every one of my political positions is defensible from a non-religious perspective.
Okay, great. So I was under the impression that your beliefs on abortion were stemming from your religious beliefs.
Well, at the core, that is correct, but I can get that it is defensible from using reason and prudence, as I have done the last couple of
Cool. So you're not trying to illegalize abortion based on the Bible?
Well, no, not based on the Bible. My personal conviction comes from the Bible. I want to make abortion illegal because it is the only applicable extension of laws we already and standards we already have in the West. Correct.
I'm sorry, can you maybe rephrase that?
Eliminating abortion is the only logical step while we apply the standard we already have in this country to unborn life. So we have murder laws.
Yes.
Therefore, murder laws should apply to unborn life as it does to born life.
Okay. So, again, reiterating, you're not trying to instate laws based on Christian beliefs because that would be unconstitutional, right?
Well, not again, sort of, but no, I am not using scripture to defend my beliefs. However, my personal convictions start with scripture, but the political views that we're talking about here are all defensible using reason and Western tradition.
2 points to this, because abortion argument isn't always about religion or God. There's a lot of agnostic people and atheist people who also do not like abortion for the very simple reason that nothing's consistent. You can have a pregnant woman driving to the abortion clinic to get rid of a baby and it's fine. But that same scenario, if she gets T-boned and killed, the person driving would get charged for double homicide. Like, how come this mom with the life inside of her can go to the clinic, get rid of it? It's fine. But if someone killed her, it's double homicide because there's two people. How come it's considered a separate person sometimes, but not? It's like when you have someone at 7 months getting an abortion, boom, it's fine. But if you have 7 months, have the baby, and they kill that baby, that's murder, and the mom's going to jail. It's just strange. Nothing is consistent. The whole abortion argument's a separate video. But off the bat, I can tell you, there's two sides that are just going at it from two completely different angles. There's a side that's like, well, it's the mother's body. And there's people down here saying, well, it's the baby's body. And that's the big difference that, we see happening. But again, the abortion side, that conversation, that debate, it's a whole, that can go on for hours if we wanted it to.
So, great. That's all I needed to know, that you weren't trying to instate laws based on Christian beliefs, because I would not be able to support anything that was so blatantly unconstitutional. But thank you for clarifying that for me. I had a whole thing ready, but I guess that wasn't necessary. Thank you so much.
Well first of all, just tell me more about how you view politics, or what. Is that okay? Or if not, and feel free to walk away. I'm not here.
Maybe not in this crowd.
That's okay. Thank you. What's your name?
My name is Archer.
Archer, thank you for coming up, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank you for clarifying.
And let me just say one last thing. I could tell you probably have a negative impression of Christianity, maybe. I hope one day we can earn back your support to making Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior. I'm sorry if the church has failed you in that way, because I do have strong religious convictions and beliefs, and there is a God who made you and loves you, and he sent his son to die for you.
Her name is Mom.
Okay, well, thank you. I do appreciate the candor and the courage to come up here, but we will pray for you. Thank you.
Okay. I can't get out.
Thank you, Archer.
Super nice. Like, that is so wholesome. It really is. And on this topic of abortion, like I said before, there's so much debate around it. But just because you have someone like Charlie Kirk that is very against abortion, let's just go into it for what it is. It's a separate life. You know, people bring up how he said, you know, he would be against abortion and people should give birth. If they're pregnant, they need to go full term. That's something that I even disagree with Kirk on. But at the end of the day, he's allowed to have that opinion. And doesn't deserve to be assassinated for that opinion. Why Charlie debates?
I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
I've never seen someone do this.
Well, it's a growing trend because people like me are facing violence, assaults, the left. Yes, the campus Antifa. I've been stormed out of restaurants. I've been assaulted publicly, multiple death threats.
Okay, so what's your goal in all this?
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
That is why I do what I do. That's why Charlie did what he did. That's why Candace does what she does. That's why Brett Cooper does what she does. There's so many, Amala, all these content creators. It's why we do what we do. Specifically, the political, cultural commentators who are very, very loud, you know, about similar topics that Charlie would oftentimes talk about. Because it's important to share your voice. It's important to share your beliefs and have rational and calm conversations. Heavily important. And it is sadly the left that causes a lot of destruction and harm and threats. You know, I've talked about in length my journey from the left to the right. When I was on the left, I had all my friends on the right, and they always talked to me. They always had conversations with me, and that's all it was, and we were still friends. When I made my way over to the center right, all my friends on the left kicked me to the curb, called me all the names, called me all the slurs, called me self-hating black, self-hating gay, wrote me off, kicked me out of friend groups. When I think about all the death threats that I've ever gotten, when I think about all the comments that I've been hurled and things people have said about me, said about Charlie, said about my friends, it's insane. It's insane. And it's all from the left. It always is. Yeah, there's some people leaving the right, but that's why you see this mass exodus of people leaving the left. It's just violence. It's just destructive. It's just shutting down people nonstop. It's hip-hooray over someone's death. This is bigger than just someone shooting someone. We've never had something like this happen. A public assassination at his event to this caliber since, honestly, Martin Luther King Jr. If we're talking about someone who had a pull and a pulse on the political conversations, the culture conversations at that level, yeah, that's Charlie Kirk. He wasn't a nobody. By no means. The work Turning Point Action does, it's insane. The amount of people Charlie put on, the man's reach was insane. And what happened to Charlie Kirk is an attempt to shut down all the voices like him. And it's only going to amplify them even more. I'm more fired up than ever before. I'm precautious. But I'm more fired up than ever before, because we cannot live in a world where everybody thinks the same and everybody's scared to talk or scared to get canceled, or we cannot live in that world. And it is sad, it is unfortunate that in all my life, the most vile thing that have ever been said to me about me has been from the left. The things we go through, you guys, And I'm saying we, like, you know, obviously the content creators, but the things you go through for just sharing your viewpoint. Do you see what's happening online and how cruel people are being? Saying people against gun violence, which Charlie Kirk was against. He's never been for gun violence. He acknowledged that it will happen sometimes, but he's never for it. Applauding it. The amount of people it blows my mind. The amount of people calling for more people to do it to other people. All the stuff popping up on campuses and the things making, like, it's, do you really want to be associated with that? Really? Is that who you're a part of? No. Can't allow yourself to do that. Like, look at this.
This be a lesson to all those other conservative freaks, those little weirdos with podcasts. Just know your necks are on the line. Your necks. No. Your necks.
People are making lists. People are talking about other people are next. Anyone that's more conservative and outspoken needs to be shut down. You need to be put on a list. You need to be taken out. Have you really lost the plot? You're so far gone where you think it is justified to eliminate someone for thinking differently than you. Have you in fact, have you lost your morality? Have you lost your sense of humanity to go that far to where you think, yes, anyone who thinks differently than me deserves to be eliminated? Like, I've seen some people's true colors the past few days. We all have. And I don't want any part of that. I don't.
So far, I've seen videos of just the left being pro-unaliving political opponents. Whether that be Trump, J.D. Vance, people celebrating what happened to Charlie Kirk today. It's just disgusting behavior. The fact that I have been a part of the left for 7 years, I never thought we'd get to the point where I would have to look at my own party and be like, oh, hold on, I can't support you anymore because everything that you are doing right now is against your political viewpoints and your values and beliefs. To sit here and promote gun violence against your opponents is wrong. And it arguably makes you worse than the other side because you're basically saying these people deserve to be unalived because our political beliefs are more important and should stand and should have more value than a human life. Ooh. Yeah, that doesn't sit right with me at all.
And I'm going to make a separate video on this, outlining all the people who are leaving the left after this event and have waken up and the things that they're going through and experience. I'll be having another video documenting that. But this is so important that it's happening because you don't see this on the right. Are there fringes? For sure. But this topical, this mainstream, like on college campuses, on every campus, handing out flyers, like, yeah, I'm glad he's dead. I don't understand it. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me sick. It's been a very interesting last few days. It really has. But I know how my journey online got started. I know all the events that I've gone to and have been invited to. I know the conversations that I've had with Charlie. And I know that all this did was push me to be even louder and make more content and know that I'm on the right path. And I hope, and I'm honored by the messages that I've received, of humbly the impact that I've had on some people and them speaking out too. And it's great. And I have to say, you know, rest in peace to Charlie, because a lot of that did start with him to me. Notably, also Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum back in 2018. They did a lot for me, said a lot to me, and I am here now today, loud and outspoken, because of the stuff that I've learned and what I've experienced and gone through and the motivation and drive from them. So I'm thankful for that.
This we know.
The cornerstone is Christ alone, our hope now forever.